Hello again, my name is Dennis Karstens, and I'm making another video about things I like to talk about and maybe give people something to think about. Today I'm going to talk about, well, Washington again. I have friends, long term friends, who believe that the Democrat Party looks out for the little guy. They look out for the middle class and the little guy, the working man. It's nonsense, of course, probably always was. But let me explain here a little bit. Along the East Coast and the West Coast, there's a corridor. On the East Coast, it runs from roughly Northern Virginia up the coast to New York and probably Boston. Okay? In California, there's one that runs from Los Angeles up to San Francisco and Sacramento, and also continues then. It skips Northern California. In Northern California, there's sensible people. It skips Northern California and goes up into Oregon and Washington, runs up through Seattle. Boy, is Seattle a mess. Anyway, along those corridors, that's where the real media and political power is. In between those two corridors is a rather large piece of real estate called America, where most of Americans live. You know, the ones that actually do the work, the ones that make this country go, the ones that, raise their kids and pay their taxes and go to work and do all the things that need to be done, provide food and everything else that we need, okay? The people that live in the corridors call that area flyover country, which personally I take as kind of a compliment because I live in that area and I'm quite proud of the fact that these people would prefer to just fly over us, which is what I would prefer they do also because they're kind of useless for the most part. But back to my friends in the Democrats. Many years ago, certainly with the advent of the Clintons, our government stopped working for us because the big bucks really got behind it. Now, there are plenty of Republicans involved in this, people like Mitch McConnell and dinosaurs like that, who are, lifetime members of the D.C. swamp. But it's mostly Democrats because the agencies, the bureaucrats in Washington are like 90% Democrats. And it figures because Democrats are the party of big government and big government power. And that's where these people, their income comes from. Their jobs depend on it. So they get behind the Democrats. Now, the real problem here is, and why the Democrats and our government doesn't work for us anymore, is because of who really is behind them. Behind that government and the Democrats and the dinosaur Republicans is large corporate America, Wall Street, Hollywood, the Silicon Valley, those enormous tech companies, and of course the social media companies like Google. They are totally behind the Democrats. Now, do you really think that group of businesses and people care about the little guy? Wall Street goes up whenever unemployment goes up. They love unemployment because then companies are going to be making more money. That's one tell that you cannot miss. If Wall Street is going up, unemployment's going up, and they're happy about it. They don't give a damn about you, okay? Time to wake up and realize that. Now, one of the things I'd like to point out also is that these companies like the Democrats because they are great admirers of China and the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party government, that one party autocratic rule, authoritarian rule. And that's what the Democrats have been pushing for. Well, not just the Democrats, but the people in Washington have been pushing for 25, 30 years. They're driving us toward a one-party authoritarian dictatorship, a de facto dictatorship, because they're making it so that Republicans or any other party will never have power. It will always be in the hands of a few people in Washington. They'll call themselves Republicans and Democrats, but they're really not. They're just, politicians that live in Washington and get their way with everything. And if we continue down the path that we are, it's not going to be long before this happens. And there's one guy out there right now, and here's the thing, folks. Let me be clear. I am not a big fan of Donald Trump, okay? He has his flaws, no doubt about it. Can be boisterous and loud and do and say stupid things that make me cringe, that's for sure. So I'm not a hardcore Donald Trump is wonderful. He's not. But what he is, and the reason that Washington hates him is because they are afraid of him. He's the one guy who wants to go to Washington and clean that nest of swamp rats out. And he's going to do it. He says he's going to do it. He says he's got at least 1,000 people already, a big list of the people in government at the top of these government agencies that he's going to fire the minute he shows up. They're terrified of him. They're afraid they're going to lose their positions, their perks, their privileges, and their power, most of all. Well, he says he's going to get rid of them, and they're afraid of him. And that's why all the things you hear from the media, they're pimps and whores in the media about Donald Trump, they have to stop him. And they're determined to stop him. Keep in mind, they don't care about you. They don't care about you at all. They want you to go home, close the door, sit down, shut up, and obey. That's what they're after from you. I'm getting a little worked up here because I know this stuff is true, and it bothers me to no end. People act like this can't happen here because we have a constitution, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. It is not only can happen, it is happening. So get out, and we've got to clean this mess up, because if Joe Biden wins another term, we're done. Joe Biden's not in charge. We haven't had a president with this goofball wandering around the halls of the White House for the last, since January of 2021. I mean, does it feel like we have a president? We have an old man stumbling around yelling at us. Okay? He got exposed the other day in that debate, and now they're all acting surprised. If you were surprised that Joe Biden looked like an old fool, then you haven't been paying attention. Anyway, enough of that for today. I have something here I want to show you, want to read. Here it is. This is from an email I got from Newsmax. Newsmax is a kind of a right-wing newspaper, TV news broadcast or cable company. Here's the headline at the top. I don't know if you can read it. It says IRS collects milestone $1 billion in back taxes from rich people. Okay? They're going after the wealthy people. And it goes on. I got to put my glasses on to read this. All right. Here's the article. The IRS announced Thursday, that would be today, it has collected $1 billion in back taxes from high wealth tax cheats. A milestone meant to showcase how the agency is making use of the money it received as part of the Biden administration's signature climate, health care, and tax package signed into law in 2022. Part of the push for awareness of high wealth tax collections is a growing recognition by agency officials that a potential Republican takeover of the White House and Congress could mean massive future budget cuts cuts for the IRS. Remember 80,000? They want to hire 80,000 IRS agents and give them guns. Why does an IRS agent need firearms? They don't. Showing the public how much work the IRS is getting done is meant to give the much maligned agency a more sympathetic image. As part of that effort, last year the IRS launched a series of initiatives aimed at pursuing high wealth individuals who have failed to pay their tax debts. The IRS says the campaign is focused on taxpayers with more than $1 million in income and more than $250,000 in recognized tax debt. Just one more small paragraph. This is a quote. President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act is increasing tax fairness and ensuring that all wealthy taxpayers pay the taxes they owe, just like working families do, says Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen in a statement they also released. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Now here's the deal. Considering how much the government has lied to us over the years, I don't believe a word of it. For starters, if they were really collecting back taxes from rich people, they'd go after what's his name, the reverend from New York City who owes millions in taxes, but I'm sure they haven't. Here's the thing. Why would you believe this? Have you seen any evidence of it? Have you seen anything? And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that they're putting this out now after Biden made a complete fool of himself and the government and the presidential race for the Democrats is swirling down the toilet bowl. So they put this garbage out to make you believe we're looking out for you. No, they're not. They're lying once again. I have no doubt this is nonsense. They may have gone out and got some money, but to say that we're really doing good, no, they're not. And why did they wait till the last minute before the election to do this stuff? If they started this in 2022, why did it take 2 years to come up with this? Think about it. Anyway, that's enough again for today. Thank you for your interest and your time. And remember, let's think with our heads, not with our feelings. Bye now.